Hello, Shoyan here. Today I'm working on insulation for the foundation and floor. Then I'll lay the subfloor panels afterward. Before I get to the subfloor, I start with the foundation insulation. This building uses both foundation and floor insulation. That's because the bath and laundry areas are insulated at the foundation. I also cover the foundation walls and the base slab with styrofoam. The floor insulation, of course, goes between the beams, so I handle the foundation insulation first. I attach styrofoam boards for the foundation insulation. They come in 90 centimeters by 180 centimeters sizes, so I cut them to fit the area. I cover the perimeter of the foundation and also 600 millimeters in from the edge along the base slab. I attach the styrofoam with caulking. Caulking is really handy stuff. We use it for sealing leaks, fixing metal sheets, and even sticking styrofoam like this. We often treat it like glue. The label even says bond, so it's basically a silicone adhesive. There are special silicone adhesives made just for flooring. This one's similar, but I don't think it's quite as strong. Because the styrofoam is thick, the corners don't fit cleanly, so I seal the gaps at every corner with urethane foam. I also spray urethane along the top edge of the foundation wall to seal it. Even a little exposed concrete can transfer heat. That's where urethane really shines. Now the foundation insulation is done. Later on, the plumbing crew came in and ran the pipes. Next, I move on to the floor insulation. First, I make sure the main beams and the 90 centimeter cross beams are level and flush. This time, the 90 millimeter square cross beams are joined with dovetail joints. Normally, these parts don't use dovetails, but there was a bit of a mix-up. Still, the good thing is that the dovetails help the height line up perfectly. I barely had to adjust anything. It was already spot on. Next, I secure the main beams in place. I can use a laser level to check each point and it works fine. But I like using string. I might sound old-fashioned, but I prefer a visible line I can see over a floating laser beam. When I use a shim, I feel like I can really tell if something's just a hair too high or a hair too low. Younger carpenters probably rely more on lasers, but I stick with string. I apply urethane glue at the base of the plastic posts where they meet the slab. If these posts were ever to shift, the house would already be in big trouble. It's said that applying the glue while the post is shortened and then extending it squeezes the glue out and locks it in. Still, even applying it later like this works fine. It's not going anywhere. I also seal the foundation's drainage holes with caulking. On the outside, the plasterer will fill them in with concrete. Now I start fitting the insulation material. Before that, I attach the metal hangers that support it. The insulation fits snug inside the frame, but I don't use insulation that's too tight. If you wedge insulation tightly between joists, any warping can make noise later. This time, the beams are thick, so they won't warp. So I doubt the floor will squeak. But still, insulation needs a light fit. And just in case any pieces come loose, these simple hangers will hold them in place. That's why I attach the hangers first, then set the insulation in from above. Next, I tape all the seams between the insulation and the beams with air sealing tape. This is a key step. If I skip it, air from the crawl space can sneak up through the gaps and joints when I lay the plywood subfloor. With the insulation and air sealing done, I installed the subfloor. I'm using 24mm structural plywood. That's the standard thickness these days, though 28mm panels are also available. The panels were stacked in a corner of the building. If the top panels were meant for the area around the stack, it would have been a nightmare. Luckily, they were stacked in the right order, so I could start from the far side. I was relieved. Otherwise, I'd have had to move the whole stack just to get started. Even at 24mm, these panels are heavy, and walking on this setup is a bit scary. If I step between the beams, the styrofoam will fall straight through. Not only that, but my shin would get scraped up badly too. So I have to be extra careful while setting the panels in place. Once the panels are down, it's just a matter of driving in nails. Easy stuff. I use 75mm nails. I always wonder if 75mm might be a bit much. They're pretty stout. Finally, I move on to the floor in the Japanese-style room. The process is the same, except the floor level is lower to make room for tatami mats. Standard tatami are 55mm thick, so that part of the floor needs to sit lower. The beams and cross beams there are pre-cut to the lower height. I need to run extra joists around the room's perimeter. Without those, I wouldn't be able to install insulation or lay plywood. After that, I fit the insulation just like before. Most homes these days use this method with thick 24mm structural plywood. It's different from the traditional subfloor method that uses joists and thinner plywood. One key difference is that this newer method has much less flex, so the floor doesn't squeak. And above all, what makes this method stand out is that structurally it acts like a horizontal truss. It's much stronger against horizontal movement than diagonal bracing alone, so the building handles shaking better. That's why this method became popular. Another bonus is that during framing, the second floor and attic get solid platforms right away. Great for working safely up there. Now, I've finished installing the floor insulation and the plywood subfloor panels. Now that it's easier to move around, I move on to the interior joinery. That's all for today. Thanks for watching.